fearless listeners and dedicated language explorers. A massive, warm welcome back to another exciting episode of Idiom Insights. I'm Emma, and it's truly wonderful to be back with you, ready to delve into 4 more fascinating phrases that add color, nuance, and depth to the English language. Thanks for choosing to spend your time learning with us.
And a very energetic hello from me too. It's Jack, your co-host and fellow enthusiast for all things idiomatic. Welcome back to Idiom Insights. You know, Emma, today's idioms feel very human. They deal with falling short of goals, personal preferences, intense anxiety, and those unfortunate times when trying to fix things only makes them worse. It really highlights how idioms often capture those universal experiences, the ups and downs of everyday life, in such vivid ways.
That's so true, Jack. They are like little verbal snapshots of human experience. Understanding phrases like the ones today about inaccuracy, taste, nervous anticipation, and escalating problems helps learners not only decode conversations, but also appreciate the underlying emotions and judgments being expressed. It's about getting tuned into the finer frequencies of communication, understanding not just the dictionary definition, but the feel and the implication of the phrase in context. It's that deeper connection we aim for.
Exactly. Tuning into those finer frequencies. What a great way to put it. So let's adjust our metaphorical antennae, everyone. On this thoroughly prepared episode of Idiom Insights, we are going to meticulously explore these 4 highly relevant expressions. First, failing to achieve the goal, miss the mark. Where did we aim and where did we land? Next, expressing personal dislike politely. Not one's cup of tea, a gentle way to say no, thank you. Then, waiting with intense anxiety, on pins and needles, capturing that feeling of nervous suspense. And finally, escaping one problem only to face a bigger one. Out of the frying pan into the fire. Oh dear, sounds like things got worse.
A truly dynamic set of idioms today, Jack, covering accuracy, preference, anxiety, and misfortune. Before we analyze why an effort might miss the mark, we'd love to share that quick, friendly reminder from your Idiom Insights team. If you find these discussions useful and enjoy learning about the richness of English with us, please do consider hitting that subscribe or follow button on your podcast app. It really helps you stay effortlessly updated with all our new content.
Absolutely. It's the simplest way to make sure you catch every single episode. And if you feel like spreading the love a little further, a like or a positive rating is immensely appreciated. It genuinely boosts our visibility and helps other keen language learners discover Idiom Insights and join our wonderful community. Okay, enough friendly encouragement. Emma, let's start with that feeling of not quite succeeding. What does it mean when something misses the mark? It suggests an intended target was involved.
That's right, Jack. The imagery is definitely one of aiming and falling short. When something, like an effort, a comment, a guess, a product, or an explanation, misses the mark, it means it fails to achieve the intended goal, is inaccurate, inappropriate, or simply doesn't have the desired effect. It implies that while there might have been effort or intention, the result wasn't quite right or successful. It suggests falling short of expectations or requirements, but perhaps not always disastrously so. It can range from being slightly off to completely wrong.
Falling short of the intended goal or being inaccurate? That makes sense. It feels less about complete failure sometimes and more about not quite hitting the target precisely. A joke might miss the mark if nobody laughs. The intention, humor, wasn't achieved. A marketing campaign might miss the mark if it doesn't resonate with the target audience, even if it was well produced. A student's answer in an exam might miss the mark if it addresses the wrong aspect of the question, even if the answer itself contains correct information. It highlights a disconnect between the intention or target and the actual result achieved. It often carries a sense of disappointment.
That sense of disappointment is often there, yes. It implies something wasn't quite good enough or didn't fulfill the specific purpose it was intended for. It's different from, say, a complete disaster. It's more nuanced, suggesting inaccuracy, inappropriateness, or simply a failure to connect or succeed as hoped. Think about giving someone a gift you thought they'd love, but their reaction is lukewarm. Your gift choice missed the mark. Or trying to explain a concept, but the other person still looks confused. Your explanation missed the mark. It's about that lack of successful connection or achievement of the specific aim.
That disconnect is key. Let's hear how Mia and Mark encounter something that didn't quite achieve its aim. What failed to hit the target in their world?
Mark, remember we organized that surprise birthday gathering for David last weekend? We spent ages planning it secretly, inviting all his closest friends, decorating the room.
Yes, of course. We put a lot of effort into making it a really special surprise for him. How did he seem afterwards? I had to leave slightly early, remember? Did he say how much he enjoyed it?
Well, this is the awkward thing. I spoke to him yesterday, and while he said he really appreciated the thought and effort, he admitted he felt overwhelmed and a bit uncomfortable.
Overwhelmed? Uncomfortable? Why? I thought he loved parties.
Apparently not surprise parties. He said he hates being the center of attention unexpectedly like that, and he felt really put on the spot. He also mentioned that while it was nice seeing everyone, he would have actually preferred a much quieter celebration, maybe just dinner with a few very close friends, rather than a big, noisy gathering.
Oh dear. So, our big, carefully planned surprise party wasn't actually what he wanted at all? We were aiming for delighted but landed on uncomfortable?
Exactly. He was very polite about it, emphasizing how grateful he was for the effort. But it sounds like, unfortunately, our well-intentioned surprise completely missed the mark in terms of what would have actually made him happy. We totally misjudged what he'd enjoy.
Oh, that's such a shame after all that planning. We really missed the mark then. Note to self, no more surprise parties for David. A quiet dinner it is next year.
Oh, that's a classic example of good intentions, leading to an outcome that wasn't quite right for the recipient. The aim was to make David happy, but the method chosen didn't achieve that goal.
Precisely their effort, the surprise party, missed the mark because it didn't align with David's actual preferences, resulting in discomfort rather than delight. Both Mia and Mark use the idiom to acknowledge this failure to achieve the intended positive effect, despite their hard work. Listeners, can you think of a time your own efforts, or perhaps a product or service you encountered, missed the mark?
Now, let's move from missing the mark to matters of personal preference. Our second idiom is a very common and rather polite way to express dislike. Not one's cup of tea. Jack, why tea? And what makes it polite?
Well, Emma, Britain is famously a nation of tea drinkers, and historically having a cup of tea represented something comforting, familiar, and generally pleasant. So saying something is not one's cup of tea is a gentle, understated, and often polite way of saying that you don't like it. It doesn't suit your taste, or it isn't the kind of thing you generally enjoy. It frames the dislike as a matter of personal preference rather than an objective criticism of the thing itself. Instead of saying, "That's terrible," or "I hate that," zrenia, we soften it by saying it's just not suited to your particular taste, like preferring a different kind of tea.
Framing it as personal preference is exactly what makes it polite. It avoids making a negative judgment on the thing itself or insulting someone who does like it. It's a very useful phrase for navigating social situations where you need to decline an offer or express a lack of enthusiasm without causing offense. You might be invited to watch a horror movie, but you dislike them intensely. Instead of saying horror movies are stupid, swing, you could politely decline by saying, "Thanks for the invitation, but horror movies are really not my cup of tea." Or if someone enthuses about a type of music you find unpleasant, you might respond tactfully, "Ah, interesting, but that style is not really my cup of tea."
Exactly. It's a social lubricant, allowing for honest expression of dislike without confrontation. It can apply to almost anything subjective: activities, golf, opera, camping, types of food, styles of art or music, even sometimes types of people or social situations. Loud parties are not my cup of tea. It's a versatile way to signal incompatibility based on personal taste rather than objective fault. It's a hallmark of polite disagreement or refusal in many English-speaking cultures.
That polite refusal aspect is very useful indeed. Let's hear how Mia and Mark use it to express a lack of interest in something.
Mia, guess what? My colleague Dave has offered me his spare ticket for the big Formula One race next month. He knows I have a passing interest in cars. He can't go himself anymore. Should I take it? We could make a weekend of it.
Formula One? Oh, well, that's very generous of Dave, Mark. It's nice of him to think of you.
Nice? It's amazing. Imagine the speed, the noise, the atmosphere. Don't you think it would be incredibly exciting to see it live?
Exciting for you, maybe, darling. And I know lots of people absolutely love it. But honestly, spending a whole day listening to incredibly loud engines driving around in circles, it just doesn't appeal to me at all. I think I'd be terribly bored after about 10 minutes.
Bored? But it's the pinnacle of motorsport engineering. The skill, The drama.
I appreciate the skill involved, I really do. But watching fast cars race is just, well, it's really not my cup of tea. I'd much rather spend a weekend visiting a museum or walking in the countryside. You should definitely go if you want to, maybe take Dave's other friend. But please don't feel you have to drag me along. It's truly not my cup of tea.
Okay. Message received. Point taken. Thanks for being honest anyway. I'll see if someone else wants the ticket then.
That's a very clear example of the idiom used politely but firmly. Mia acknowledges Mark's enthusiasm and the potential appeal for others, but clearly states her own lack of interest.
Yes, she uses "not my cup of tea" twice to express that watching Formula One racing simply doesn't align with her personal tastes, framing it as her preference rather than criticizing the sport itself. It allows her to decline participation without offending Mark's enthusiasm. It's a perfect illustration of its gentle refusal function. So, listeners of Idiom Insights, what activities or genres are definitely not your cup of tea?
Now, from polite dislike, let's turn to intense anxiety. Our third idiom today creates a very physical sense of nervous tension, on pins and needles. Emma, what does this phrase convey about someone's emotional state?
It conveys a state of extreme nervousness, anxiety, agitation, or suspense, Jack, usually while waiting for something important to happen or for news to be revealed. The phrase vividly evokes the tingling, prickling sensation, like pins and needles, you might physically feel when you're very tense or anxious, unable to relax. Being on pins and needles means you are in a state of high tension and suspense, eagerly or anxiously awaiting an outcome.
That feeling of being physically unable to relax is a great way to think about it. It's more intense than just being a bit nervous. It implies a significant level of agitation and suspense. You might be on pins and needles while waiting for the results of important medical tests or waiting to hear if you got a crucial job after a final interview. Or think about watching the very end of the incredibly close and important sports match. The fans of both teams would be absolutely on pins and needles during those final, decisive moments, totally consumed by anxious anticipation. Exactly! It's that heightened state of waiting where the outcome really matters, and the suspense is almost unbearable. It suggests you can't think about much else. Your focus is entirely consumed by the awaited event or news. It's the feeling you get just before a big announcement, or while someone is deliberating over a decision that heavily affects you. It's that squirming, restless feeling of needing to know the outcome now, but being forced to wait in a state of high anxiety.
Restless anxiety while waiting. That's a perfect summary. Let's hear from Mia and Mark. What are they waiting for that's causing such tension?
Oh, Mark, I can barely concentrate on anything today. Do you know what time the university admissions office is supposed to release the final decisions for that postgraduate course I applied for? They said it would be today.
I know, darling. You've checked your email about 50 times already this morning. They just said late afternoon, didn't they? Which could mean anything from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's incredibly stressful waiting like this, I know.
Stressful? Mark, I feel physically jittery. My palms are sweating, and I keep jumping every time my phone makes a noise. I want this place on the course so badly, and I know the competition was incredibly high. Not knowing if I got in or not is absolute torture.
I completely understand. You've put so much work into the application and the interview. It's perfectly natural to feel anxious while waiting for such important news.
Anxious doesn't cover it. I am totally on pins and needles. Every minute feels like an hour. I wish they'd just let us know either way, so this horrible suspense can be over. I can't relax or focus on anything else until I know.
I know. Try to take some deep breaths. Maybe we could go for a quick walk just to distract you for a little while. Although I suspect you'll still be on pins and needles until that email finally arrives.
You can certainly feel Mia's intense anxiety and suspense in that dialogue. The waiting for important, life-changing news has clearly put her in a state of high tension.
Absolutely. She explicitly describes her state as being on pins and needles, highlighting her extreme nervousness, inability to relax, and agitated anticipation while awaiting the university's decision. It perfectly captures the idiom's meaning of being in anxious suspense. Listeners, what kind of situations put you on pins and needles?
And finally, let's tackle our fourth idiom, which describes going from a bad situation to an even worse one, out of the frying pan into the fire. Emma, this is another wonderfully visual idiom, suggesting a very unfortunate progression.
It really is a vivid image of unintended negative escalation, Jack. The phrase "out of the frying pan into the fire" describes the situation where someone, in trying to escape from a bad, difficult, or dangerous situation, the frying pan, inadvertently gets themselves into a situation that is even worse, more difficult, or more dangerous. The fire, it implies that the attempt to improve things or escape trouble has backfired, leading to an escalation of problems.
Backfiring and escalating trouble, that's key. It's not just failing to improve things, it's actively making them worse through the attempt to escape. For example, someone might quit a stressful but stable job they dislike, hoping for something better, but then hastily accept the first offer they get, only to find the new job is even more stressful, has a terrible boss, and offers less security. They've jumped out of the frying pan into the fire. Their attempt to escape one bad situation led them directly into a worse one.
That's a classic example. Or think about trying a quick, cheap fix for a leaky pipe under the sink. The frying pan. If your inexpert attempt not only fails to stop the leak, but actually bursts the pipe completely, causing a major flood, the fire, you've definitely gone out of the frying pan into the fire. Your action to solve the initial problem created a much bigger disaster. It highlights that ironic, unfortunate outcome where the solution becomes worse than the original problem.
That ironic worsening is really central to the feeling of the idiom. It's often said with a sense of regret, frustration, or even dark humor about the unfortunate turn of events. Let's hear Mia and Mark's final conversation. How did an attempt to improve a situation backfire so badly?
Mark, remember I told you our neighbors, the Hendersons, were complaining constantly about the noise from the apartment above them? The students playing loud music late at night?
Oh yes, they were really unhappy about it, weren't they? Threatening to complain to the landlord, involve the council? Has it finally stopped? Did the students move out?
Well, the students did move out last month, yes. And the Hendersons were absolutely delighted. They kept saying how wonderful it would be to finally have some peace and quiet.
Ah, so a happy ending then? They escaped the noisy student frying pan.
Not quite. You won't believe who has moved into the apartment now. A family with 3 very young children, including a baby who seems to cry nonstop, and 2 toddlers who apparently spend all day running, jumping, and dropping heavy toys on the wooden floor directly above the Hendersons' living room.
Oh no, so they've gone from late-night music to constant daytime noise and crying? That doesn't sound like an improvement at all. In fact, that sounds potentially even more disruptive to their peace and quiet, just at different times of day.
Exactly. Mrs. Henderson told me this morning, looking absolutely exhausted, that they've gone from one noise problem to a completely different, possibly even worse noise problem. It sounds like they've jumped straight out of the frying pan into the fire.
Oh dear, that's a truly unfortunate turn of events for the Hendersons. Their relief at escaping the first problem, noisy students, the frying pan, was short-lived.
Indeed. The arrival of the new source of noise, young children, the fire, created a situation they perceive as possibly even worse. Mia uses "out of the frying pan into the fire" to perfectly describe this transition from one bad situation to an arguably more difficult one, highlighting the irony of their situation worsening when they expected improvement. Listeners of Idiom Insights, can you think of a situation where someone jumped out of the frying pan into the fire?
And with that rather unfortunate image, we conclude our exploration for this episode. 4 idioms covering quite a spectrum. Let's quickly summarize the phrases we've discussed today on Idiom Insights.
It's been another dive into the richness of English. Today we covered miss the mark, to fail to achieve the intended goal, to be inaccurate or inappropriate, not one's cup of tea, not to one's personal taste or liking, often used politely, on pins and needles, feeling very nervous, anxious, or in suspense while waiting, out of the frying pan into the fire, moving from a bad situation into an even worse one.
Excellent. We sincerely hope that our detailed discussions today, focusing on the nuances and feelings behind these phrases, along with the dialogues, have helped deepen your understanding and confidence. Remember, language is alive and idioms are its pulse.
Beautifully put. Keep feeling that pulse. And if you felt that today's episode of Idiom Insights helped you feel the pulse of English a little more clearly, we would be immensely grateful if you could take just a moment to leave us a like, a rating, or a positive review. It really helps keep our own pulses racing with enthusiasm.
And please, make sure you are subscribed or following Idiom Insights. It's the simplest way to join us for every new episode as we continue to explore the endlessly fascinating world of English expressions together. We value our listener community immensely.
We really do. Thank you for tuning in and engaging with us. Until next time, keep learning with passion, keep practicing with purpose, and enjoy the adventure. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye, everyone. Take wonderful care, stay curious, and happy learning.